What's your solution? No genocides for humanity, as it is estimated 10 billion humans living on Earth around 2075. Cooperation. Whoa, this is by far the most unreasonable and unrealistic answer on this sub. Suggest you thinking long and hard about what VUV just posted. Per second. Educated and emancipated women, with access to birth control, have less children. If the birth rate is below replacement level, about 2-3 per couple, the problem solves itself. Pretty sure our government is working on fixing this one. You know Reddit isn't specifically American, right? Aren't most developed countries facing a decline in births? To me it seems that, if the countries of poorer nations start getting developed, we won't have a population crisis. Maybe that's naive and hopeful thinking. The population is supposed to stabilize, and then start decreasing, if every country ends up following the same declining birth rate as countries in Europe, East Asia, and North America have. Fewer births. The average birth rate in the U.S. and Europe is around 1.6 to 1.5, and you need a birth rate of over 2.1 for the population to grow. PFAS and all the other shit we're constantly being subjected to will probably help solve this down the line. Also, keep not caring about climate change should start wiping out some populations in the upcoming decades too. Remove all the warning labels. We'll be down to 3 billion in no time at all. Ah yes. Watch the world burn. Well, the one resource we have that is plentiful and still inexpensive is popcorn. Have you seen cinema popcorn? It's expensive as fit, be like 3 times the price of the movie ticket. Movie theaters are pro-gouging central. Popcorn is cheap as fuck. Get a huge thing of dry kernels for a couple bucks still. TBF, movie theater food is expensive BC, that's where they get their revenue. Ticket sales mainly go to the movie companies, and the theater doesn't see much of that money. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I get why it's all expensive since, as you said, tickets are mostly for the filmmakers and they can't really drive up the price super well without just paying the filmmakers more / driving away customers. But it is, regardless, gouging central. I've bought and made popcorn before. I know for a damn fact that bucket isn't 25 bucks lol. We don't need any solutions. As nations develop, their birth rates naturally even out. I predict we'll find an equilibrium somewhere, and once the rest of the world catches up technologically, things will stabilize. Yeah, I actually thought this was the scientific consensus. If you look up birth rates across the world, most of the developed world now averages less than 1 child per couple. The population in those areas will decrease significantly in 1 generation. Edit. Said 1 child per couple, and I meant 1 per person, still decreasing the population in those areas. Superbug with no cure coming out of melting permafrost. That superbug will probably come out of antibiotic resistance over time. We might be able to get around that with phages. They are like the honey badgers of the microscopic world, highly specialized to eat and kill a strain or 2 of bacteria. They are naturally occurring in Mother Nature and in our bodies. Generally, bacteria can form a resistance to them when left to their own devices. Kinder-like bacteria wearing cleats on a slippery soccer field to gain traction. However, they are then vulnerable to antibiotics, which are like a slippery, polished cement floor. Cleats slide like crazy on polished cement. Bacteria can develop rubber-soled shoes for that, but they can't wear cleats and shoes at once. So we can split the difference with phages and antibiotics going forward without getting bacterial resistance. Cool video on it here, if you had a few minutes. Right parenthesis https how to b/y3tsmshrog. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. Don't ban TikTok. All the challenges on there are basically due natural selection. tongue in the power outlet challenge. I prefer the put dad's gun in your mouth with the safety off challenge. Is that true? Saw a point a loaded gun at your dick challenge, so I'm guessing it's not out of the question. No, I was joking. Holy shit. Raise the living standard for women. Then motherhood becomes an option. So they have fewer children, if any. This the number one proven thing that brings the birth rate down. It's not just access to contraception, it's women having other options. Also, smaller apartments and urbanization makes people less likely to have children. To stop letting a tiny handful of people have the same amount of resources as several billion would be a good start. Something culinary the rich. Agriculture has always grown faster than population. Likely, nobody in your family's died of hunger. That was the main cause of death a couple centuries ago. Considering the demographic density of Paris, the entire world could live in an area the size of Texas today. 25% more people barely makes a difference, so just chill, mankind. And take it easy on pollution, would ya? I mean, modern agriculture is destroying the ecosystem, and feeding our current populations requires massive infrastructure and resources. It takes very little to destabilize that. That's because modern agriculture is mostly made with a huge lack of care for the environment or continued sustainability. Also, like 1/3 of the food produced is thrown away. The issue is logistics and our incentives in society to produce. Greater than 1/3 of the food produced is thrown away. The issue is logistics and our incentives in society to produce, and also our expectation as consumers, I guess. Modern supermarkets provide us with thousands of products, anytime, all year round. I wonder many times how that's possible. The answer is probably by overproducing heavily, but I'm no expert and would love well-founded insights. The concept of overpopulation as an existential threat was popularized by Thomas Malthus as a way to justify the genocide against the Irish during the Great Hunger. That's not to say that there wouldn't be benefits from a certain amount of population decrease, but it is not terribly urgent, and it could be accomplished with a robust support for women's rights and health care, which tend to correlate with population growth stabilization. Greater than women's rights and health, don't forget education. We have a problem with birth rates declining, not the other way around. Nothing. That number of humans is sustainable. Remove all the fucking golf courses around the world. You don't need to kill people, you just need to make society run well. Stop wasteful usage when we're shipping fruit across oceans, spending millions of gallons in fuel and millions of man-hours, when the fruit can just as easily be grown in country. Integrate local farming through rooftop gardens, vertical farms, sustainable hydroponics. Do away with wasteful agriculture practices like flood irrigation, and for the love of God, get rid of cows. Promote alternative protein sources that are 100 times more efficient, and stop propping up the dairy industry. Outlaw golf courses. Fuck golf. Conserve water. Stop urban sprawl. Start building smart architecture and infrastructure that allows for effective and efficient use of resources and urban planning. Reinvest in existing sanitation infrastructure and improve it. And to be clear, I'm not advocating whatever dread-inspired hellscape the Sordis plan to build with slave labor. I'm talking putting people over profit and working together. You're just some bloodthirsty motherfuckers. I do think you overlook us northerners in the just grown your own produce argument. 6+ months, if the year nothing can grow in northern MN, and the energy required to heat greenhouses would be enormous. But otherwise I agree. It reminds me of an interview in Listen to Once, where the interviewee was very adamant that everyone should just grow the food they need, and we should dismantle the entire agricultural system. Interviewer notes that due to inefficiencies of that scale, Earth would only support about 4 billion people, and asks so who chooses which 3 billion will be dying? Interviewee refused to answer. Interviewer refused to change topics. Interview over 2 minutes later.